All right, so this, of course, is our top story. India is, at this moment, the epicenter of diplomacy. The Shanghai Cooperation Organisation is the highlight event, but the bilateral meetings on the sidelines are also garnering a lot of headlines. Just a few moments ago, the Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Chinese counterpart Li Shangfu sat down for talks. However, during the photo op, there were no handshakes, and that is significant. However, pleasantries, of course, were exchanged, and this is the first visit to India by a Chinese defence minister since the deadly clashes at the Galwan Valley in 2020. Remember, at least about 20 Indian soldiers had been martyred. China immediately did not release the number of its casualties, but later it claimed that 4 of its soldiers were killed. But American and other intelligence estimates have pegged the number of casualties that China sustained in the Galwan Valley clash to be anywhere from 35 to 40. Now remember, between India and China, trouble did not stop with the Galwan clashes. The sides have also got other confrontations since then, with the most recent flare-up happening in December at Tawang in India's northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh. So it's been a pretty busy day of diplomacy overall. Earlier, Rajnath Singh had also met with the Iranian Defence Minister Mohammad Reza Ghari. He had met with the Tajik Defence Minister Colonel General Sherali Mirzo. He had also held talks with Colonel General Ruslan Zakhslokov. And also, to look ahead, tomorrow is, of course, going to be a big day for diplomacy. For the first time since the war broke out in Ukraine, Russia's Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu will be visiting India. New Delhi has got long-standing ties with Moscow, and the country's neutral stance in the war has also complicated India's relationship with the West. But India has made it abundantly clear that it follows a policy of strategic autonomy and does not toe anyone's foreign policy line. India, remember, has held its ground and has said that talks are the only way of bringing about a resolution to the war. The Indian Prime Minister has maintained that the time of war and expansion is most definitely over. The theme of India's 2023 chairmanship is Secure SCO. India assumed the chairmanship of the grouping last year. The SCO policies aim to respect sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Shanghai Cooperation Organisation Defence Ministers meeting will, of course, take place tomorrow, that is Friday, in the Indian capital, New Delhi. And what is also interesting is this. Pakistan's defence minister will also be attending the meeting, but he'll be doing this virtually. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what all of this, of course, means, we're being joined in by India's former ambassador to Kazakhstan, Sweden and Latvia, Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Ambassador, thank you very much indeed, sir, for taking time out and speaking to us. Now, the question that I want to start off with is this. Now, tomorrow, of course, is the big day of the defence ministers' meeting of the SCO. But just a little while back, sir, we saw the visuals of the Indian defence minister meeting with his Chinese counterpart. This is for the first time that a Chinese defence minister, of course, is visiting India. What do you make of this? Does it mean that we are likely to witness some kind of a breakthrough in resolving the very protracted and difficult border issue that India has got with China?
You know, this the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it does present a platform. It does present a possibility that, you know, the two leaders at different levels can meet. For instance, right now, it is the defense ministers of the SCO countries who are here. In another few days, we'll have the foreign ministers also of SCO countries coming here. So the Shanghai Cooperation Organization annually have these meetings, and they do provide a platform. You would recall that even in 2020, in September 2020, when Russia was the chair of the SCO, then in Moscow, our Raksha Mantri and the then Chinese defense minister had met, and also our external affairs minister and the Russian and the Chinese foreign minister had also met. So the possibilities are there, but in terms of, you know, whether any breakthrough is possible, whether any, both the sides have met today, both the defense ministers have met today. We'll wait to see whether there was any breakthrough. But I think from the Chinese side, whatever we have been able to make out over the last few weeks and months, there have been unnecessary additional provocations rather than any feelers that there might be some toning down of Chinese provocations on the line of actual control.
Absolutely, indeed, Ambassador. And also the fact that, the Pakistani defense minister will also be taking part in the defense ministers' meeting of the SCO, but he'll, of course, be, taking part in this online. SCO is a very interesting grouping per se. It has these important Asian nations. India is a part of it. China is a part of it. Pakistan is also a part of it. Do you think SCO is actually a good forum for these nations which have some difficult foreign policy issues, especially concerning their borders, to in fact sit down and talk to each other and resolve those concerns? Or do you think SCO simply does not serve that purpose at all?
Well, as far as the regional organization is concerned, no bilateral issues can be brought onto the table and discussed. So the only possibility that it provides for having discussions is on the sidelines, like what happened today between India and China, the defense ministers. And tomorrow, of course, there'll be the meeting also between India's defense minister and the Russian defense minister. There, of course, issues are of a different nature as to how to further strengthen our relations, how to further strengthen ties. Discussions on that will be held. Shanghai Cooperation Organization as an institution itself does not get into the bilateral issues, but it does provide this platform. It does provide the opportunity for countries which are interested. They can have meetings on the sidelines. But, these are sort of opportunities that are provided in any intergovernmental or multilateral organizations on the sidelines. If it is, let's say, the East Asia Summit or ASEAN Regional Forum or any of these. But in that context, it's an important organization. For us, of course, it gives us a platform to connect with China, with Russia, but equally, if not more importantly, with the 4 Central Asian countries which are also members of this organization. And Central Asia is increasing in significance and importance with every passing day.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Sergei Shoigu, for joining us and getting us all those insights.
Thank you.
And also on the broadcast, joining us all the way from Moscow, is Gleb Marakevich. He is a Russian International Affairs Council expert. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Marakevich, for joining us in this broadcast. Now, let me in fact begin by asking you this. The Russian Defense Minister, Sergei Shoigu, of course, is going to be a part of this defense ministers meeting here in New Delhi. What do you think are the stakes for Russia, especially at a time when the West has been trying to isolate Russia as much as possible? But the fact is, the Russians have been able to carry out the diplomacy in other parts of the world.
So I think that, first of all, thank you for having me here. And I think that this summit is another opportunity for Russia to show that Russia have crucial partners in all spheres of cooperation. I mean, security, politics, economics, and it has parties to have dialogue with. And I think that the defense minister would be glad to share his views on special military operation, on current situation in the world, to share his views on military aspects of cooperation and experience got in Ukraine. I think so.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, the question that I need to follow up with this, for that is this. Regional groupings such as SCO, BRICS, etc. are crucial at this moment for Russia in carrying out its diplomacy. Do you think Russia has been able to leverage that enough to counter the West?
So I would say that Russia does not try to leverage these groupings so as to counter the West. It just participates in the summits because Russia is interested in maintaining relations with its partners, so-called friendly countries, friendly partners, or whatever. And I do not consider it to be a tool for countering the West. I think that Russian leadership regards this summit as well.
All right. We'll have to leave there. Thank you very
same.
much indeed, Mr. Gleb Marakevich, for joining us from Moscow and getting us all those
Thank you.
insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.